So, Andreas, Adway does automated recruitment marketing on Facebook, for instance, and that's actually how we got in contact with you as well. You applied through our automated solution, and now your job coming from Facebook is to sell how companies can recruit automatically on recruitment marketing on Facebook. So can you just give us a bit of a background scope on how you launched Facebook in Norway and if there were any challenges in that launch?
Yeah, sure. The biggest challenge actually was to prioritize, to find the clients that were mature enough and innovative enough to challenge the current processes that they had, because we had then the biggest clients, the top tier clients in Norway, the 400 biggest clients that we split in half, me and my colleague at Facebook, and then we had to prioritize which stakeholders are innovative and which clients can try to transfer over to digital media. We put on our running shoes and worked the market actually, initiated dialogues with clients and to see where they were. And quite soon you realize that, okay, this is an organization that are kind of innovative, they can internalize new approaches, and then you start a dialogue and start to explain to the organization on how they can use Facebook strategically.
Okay, that's so many similarities to what we see when we are transforming recruitment into social media, as we're doing in the global, but of course also in the Nordics. So Andreas, could you just, I figure this was around like 2011. Were there any similarities in how Google have launched, and could you take any inspiration from their journey?
Yeah, sure. So as you said, this was at 2011, and Google had done their kind of market penetration 10 years approximately before us. And so we could learn a lot from what they had done, and the market was also aware of their introduction prior to ours. But of course, the social media development was totally new and so disruptive in terms of how you could market yourself. All of a sudden, you had a dialogue with your customer. And the clients weren't really used to that, and that I think felt very scary for them. But also you could see that the opportunity was great in terms of being really targeted to reaching the specific target group, the audience that you care about.
Yeah, speaking of Andreas, I mean, given this time, there would have been some kind of transformation from, print and media and TV only coming into socials. How did this conversation go with these, brave global companies that, were about to take this leap going into social?
Yeah, so you have to, we had to kind of explain the benefits, the potential in the platform, in the Facebook platform, and how that could be used. And then my approach was to kind of lower the thresholds in terms of them trying it out. And terms of traditional media like print and TV, you have to have quite large of media budgets to just start, and they aren't quite so dynamic. So at Facebook, you had to just have a quite limited media budget, and so the threshold was quite low, and you could iterate the content and how you communicated along the way. So that was just how to start actually. And then kind of 99% of the clients that started saw results that could challenge the traditional media actually.
Wow, this is super cool. Is there any similarities, I mean, going from traditional job boards as Adway does from now, companies evolving from using like only Finn.no going into social? Do you see like this transformation from print to social, and now in recruitment, job boards to social? Is there similarities here?
Yeah, I think the best way to approach this opportunity that we saw on social media at the time and now within recruitment marketing is just to see which kind of strategies, long-term strategies, with this benefit, and for the recruitment marketing side, it's efficiencies and greater results.
Yeah.
Could we just like launching again in Norway? What was the main challenge? Argue for why this was such a beneficial solution, because you mentioned that all the companies converting into social, so they saw great results, but I could just imagine how there was some type of threshold coming into this mindset.
Yeah, of course, and there was different agendas out there. One, it was kind of, you can say that it was an agenda per stakeholder, and also an understanding. Most of them were perhaps using social media at the time, certainly not from a marketing strategic perspective, but so it was a way to kind of open their eyes in terms of the opportunity, and also supporting them, or really holding their hands with the different technological understanding that they needed, and also how to use it and how to develop the organization around this opportunity.
Yeah, and coming into working strategically with this, was it in terms of you empowering those companies with how they could measure, from going from print, what's that's quite impossible to measure, coming into social and becoming this data-driven organization with that approach? Was this totally new for these companies, and you had to educate them in how to work with it?
In some way, then as we mentioned, Google had done their job at and also the traditional digital display advertising had done their part in incorporating different metrics around tracking and how to analyze the performance of digital media. But I think one of the opportunities we saw over the years was to be able to come very close and get a very good understanding of the audience that you communicated to. And we're talking about kind of customer journeys, and you can work from a data-driven perspective, become more relevant and create more engagement, and also create more business results if you internalize this data-driven approach. And I think that is what we see here as an opportunity in recruitment marketing as well.
Cool. Yeah, so please share a little bit, the similarities you see from Facebook launching in Norway to Adway now in their first couple of years in Norway. What are the possibilities that you are, looking forward to the most?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to educate the market on the opportunity that Adway represents. In terms of making the recruitment marketing process and more efficient, and also helping the HR departments and recruitment teams create better results in the short term and also in the long term, become more efficient in terms of the investments that you make, and also I think that's the key point here.
Yeah, that's super cool. Is there any hidden information or anything that we don't know about Facebook that could be fun to share?
I remember I think that one of the most interesting things was when we gathered the sales team in around San Francisco. At 2011, we met at an airport hotel. It was quite shabby. It wasn't that glorious, and we have 350 sales individuals approximately. And so you came quite close to the leadership, and also when you were there, you could. I met Mark Zuckerberg in his flip-flops in the cafeteria when he grabbed a coffee. and so that was quite cool to be apart from that journey and environment from the start. And then fast forward 6 years or so, we were plus 1,000 individuals, more like a rock concert with astronauts, with big corporate leaders from Hollywood to stars to known entrepreneurs. So yeah, it was quite an interesting way to see the company evolve.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, I think that's basically. But also, I would wanted to say that I would like to say that you hear from about Facebook in media, and from an inside perspective, at least when I worked there and how I kind of understand the leadership, it is quite a do good kind of environment, and it's a really good place to work.
Like a flat organization, or?
It's an organization where you can be heard, I think, and they are very advanced in terms of equality, and they they challenge the norms, at least as it is structured in the US. So you had a parental leave paid, and that's not normal in the US. Since in Scandinavia we have that taken for granted, but there not so much.
Okay, cool. Could you just share with us some of the success stories of your clients, working so many years in Norway and at Facebook, and the upsides that they saw when coming into this data-driven social media world?
Yeah, sure. I think the best results that we saw from the clients that were kind of innovative enough to internalize this opportunity with social media at the time was the ones that had their ecosystem kind of in sync. So you had the internal stakeholders from the social media team up to the CEO at some point, or at least the CMO, and also the external environment as well, with the creative agency and the teams in there. So with a kind of the creative process became a part of this new kind of platform or channel. And when this was in coordinated, they got really good results. And I remember working with Toyota, for example, and they had this one case where they got enormously amounts of engagements in Norway, and they won awards and stuff. And also this was picked up by the leadership team at the time. So that was quite cool to witness a couple of really well executed pieces of media.
Cool. Okay, so Andreas, what are you looking forward the most empowering recruiters in Norway with this data-driven, recruitment approach? How are you looking forward to, coming in and guiding them?
I think I'm looking forward to having the smiles at the recruitment department and also the recruiting managers once they see that they have more candidates with less effort and with an efficient investment. So I'm looking forward to the reaction when I see that, okay, using social media can reach new audiences like passive candidates, and see the reactions, actually see the smiles afterwards, because to my knowledge the clients and the partners we have are really happy with the results that we are generating through social media.
Yeah, and we're all about empowering recruiters. They are the superheroes of the organization. If I'm saying ballet dancer, what are you saying back to me?
I'm thinking Robin Hood leotards and a big stage and thousands of people watching.
Tell us a bit more about this.
No, but that was my previous life. I was a classical ballet dancer, working at the Gothenburg Opera and Stockholm Opera for a while when I studied, and you know, it's kind of a lifestyle being a dancer, and I'm so grateful for being able to have had that experiences. You know, I watched a TV series called Fame when I was a small child, and I was really you know, drawn into that environment. And I actually had a cousin who was a ballet dancer at the Stockholm Royal Swedish Opera, and so yeah, so that's the kind of the route that I fell into.
How did you do this professionally?
Yeah, I worked at the Stockholm Opera I worked at the Gothenburg Opera for 3 years. So
wow.
I did that professionally for 3 years or more. I played when I was a student at the Royal Swedish Ballet School. I was part of the Nutcracker TV, a Swedish television recording. So every Christmas you can actually see me on Swedish television as in that piece.
Wow, that's cool. I did not know that. Super cool. I'm looking forward to, you know, you doing the split. That's another story. Please do sometimes. Could you just like give us why you chose in this way to join Adway, and what's the reason and the, you know, the symmetry and similarities that you see?
Yeah, the first reason is the team. I think it was a great, passionate team of individuals who have started a journey with Adway, and supporting clients who needs to have tools to make the processes they work with more efficient. So I'm looking forward to actually going out in the market, speaking to the Norwegian market and Norwegian clients, helping them to automate and make the recruitment marketing processes more data-driven.
Cool. That's what we're all about. So a big thank you to you, Andreas, and we're looking forward to have you going into Norway with your expertise.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.